and welcome to Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofstall.
And today we're talking about all things current in the world of horror. How are you, Meg? I know it's been a crazy week for you.
It has. I'm well though. I'm doing really well. The weather is beautiful, and I feel really dramatic, like saying that we got hit by a tornado, but we did.
Yes.
It feels like a really extreme thing to say.
But now, when you were telling me about it, I mean,
yeah.
it sounds like what people describe in horror movies about tornadoes and real experiences on the news. So do you want to tell everybody about what happened?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy because there was absolutely no warning. That was kind of the worst part. I could tell it was like getting stormy, and I was making dinner, and they were talking about how there were thunderstorms on the news. I had the news on, and then all of a sudden, I looked out the window, and the wind had taken on like a new shape, and I could actually see the wind, like it had like a shape and a color to it. And the screen door got ripped off the back of our house, and then the door swung open. And I was like, okay, it's time. Like, it was funny because you'd think maybe you'd have more of like is this a tornado or is it just strong wind? But I guess something in me was just like, this is bad. And so I grabbed my kids and my husband and pets and all that. We went down the basement and we crouched down there and listened as many of our trees were destroyed. But it was really scary, and it like made me think of a horror movie because it was like I think something I really like about horror is I'm always watching like thinking, how would I react in that situation? And I think it was interesting to be in a situation like that where you are scared for your life, you're scared for the people around you, and kind of like how my brain sort of worked in that moment. But everything's fine. Our house just got minimal damage, and our yard is pretty bad, but we're having a chainsaw party tomorrow, so it'll be just fine.
Oh, well, if I could be there, I would come dressed as Ash from Evil Dead, and I would say groovy a lot. I'd be really obnoxious, but I wish I could help you, so...
Oh, no, it's okay. You're far away, and it's your birthday tomorrow. I would make you do anything but come and help clean brush at our house for your birthday. So happy birthday, by the way.
Well, thank you very much.
But yeah, no, it's going to be fine. I know it's funny that you said Ash. This was like, he was talking about Leatherface, and that's what comes to my mind right away is Leatherface, but of course Ash. Wouldn't that be nice if Ash could help, though?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
He would be the best helper.
He could, like, rent himself out for that kind of thing.
Exactly.
You know, like, in Ash vs. Evil Dead, like, he should have been, that's the kind of work he should have been
He should have been done doing tree removal.
Yes. So, speaking of, it made me think, isn't there a Bruce Campbell tornado movie?
Yes, it's called Tornado.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I remember it, but like only vaguely. I don't remember what happened. I mean, I assume there is at least one tornado in it, but I don't remember what kind of character he plays or anything.
Okay, it is literally the plot of Twister, and I can't remember. You know how like in the movie Twister, is there a thing called Dorothy?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
in
like the thing they put in the
in Twist, I think in Tornado, it's called Toto or something.
Are you serious?
No, it's like
a ripoff?
It's one of those blatant ripoffs, yeah. But you know, I owned it on VHS because Bruce Campbell was in it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it. I think I might have watched it with you, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, no,
I feel like it was on TV.
Well, no,
something?
I'm sure you watched it with me though too.
I'm sure I did.
But
I didn't realize it was that big of a ripoff. I thought it was his own thing.
No, it's a ripoff. Oh, and speaking of Bruce Campbell, Ripley's Believe It or Not is starting tomorrow. It will have aired by the time you listen to this, Rewinders, but Bruce Campbell's hosting it.
Wait, he's hosting what?
The new Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh yes. Oh, I heard about this. Yes. What channel is it on? Do you have any clue?
It's on the Travel Channel.
Oh my God, he's hosting. Oh my God, he's gonna have so many great one-liners, don't you think?
Yeah, it's gonna be perfect. I mean, if anybody should be the host of that show, it's him.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna have like a lot of smarmy one-liners and like eye roll type of things. Like he's gonna judge people hard, but in a nice Bruce Campbell way, not in a mean way. But
Exactly.
I can totally picture. Oh, that's awesome. Well, good for him. I'm glad he's got a steady gig going. And didn't you say he loves to travel? And so maybe I don't know if this actually involves him traveling or if he's just like literally in a studio presenting everything all the time. Do you have any clue?
The photos I've seen, he's just presenting. But you know what?
Oh, okay.
He will
But hey,
whatever he does, he'll do it well.
that's right. Get that paycheck, Bruce. That's what I say.
Exactly. You know, so sometime we've talked about this in the past, but sometime let's rewatch Twister and we'll talk about it because I mean now it's probably going to be traumatic,
Yes.
but it's a good movie. It's horror adjacent.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I love disaster movies because it's kind of like the true crime thing. Like it's scary because it's real, but yeah, I mean and I know, and you can make fun of me saying this later when it's not true, but like no, I'm knocking on wood right now. But I feel like I lived through my tornado, so I don't think. What are the chances, right? That I have to live through another one. So I feel like I went through a tornado and I came out the other side and it was EF1. So I think I got it out, right? I'm not
Yeah.
gonna have another one. That's how I feel. It's like lightning can't strike the same place twice. Right?
Oh boy, I
That's what
don't
I say
know.
about it.
We better knock on some wood.
I am. I'm knocking on wood right now. I know I shouldn't say that, but actually I am very grateful that, nobody got hurt, and because I live in the woods and our whole neighborhood's really wooded and our neighborhood got hit the worst of any. And I'm glad it was our neighborhood because we have these big, huge old trees and they protected everybody. So nobody got hurt and the trees took the damage, but thank goodness, nobody got hurt. But anyway,
Well, I'm
I
glad
want
that
to watch Twister also. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm glad that everybody's okay, and you also got your pets in
Yeah.
there with you in the closet.
Yes. Yeah. The kids, I was hyper focused on them, but they were hyper focused on the pets. So everybody's safe. But I was gonna say I want to watch Twister again too because Carrie Ellis is in it,
Oh
and
yeah.
he's like the bad guy in it. The storm chaser bad guy. But anyway, we'll watch that again.
No, that sounds good.
Speaking of movies of the past, I was wondering what you think of this new Ghostbusters that's coming out next year, next summer. Jason Reitman's Ghostbusters, it keeps being called. And now Sigourney Weaver is going to be in it. And the Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd are going to be in it. And Finn Wolfhard and Carrie Coon are going to be in it.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Well, I mean the only it's hard for me to have my own opinion about it because as soon as this was announced, like all of these incel Ghostbuster fans, not that they really are incels, but that's the way I feel sometimes, are
Yeah.
that they're just like, oh, finally, like we get a real movie now, like dismissing the Ghostbusters from 2016, which I loved. So I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. I know. It's hard because I think it's hard to sort of separate the vile people that are the loudest and the ones that really, unfortunately, they really sullied Ghostbusters, like the original two Ghostbusters, in a lot of ways because they were just so vehemently opposed to the 2016 one that it became, to me, it was like I was having a hard time separating those vile people from the film.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I love all of them. Like I love original Ghostbusters and I loved the 2016 one as well. And I think as women it feels like it is dismissive is the perfect word. It feels like 2016 is just being dismissed as like a one-off, and it's like, oh, now we can get back to the regular. And I understand that people get really invested in things, and it's hard to see things change. But I almost feel like it's going to be harder for some of them to watch this, where Harold Ramis is dead. I don't know what's his name before the other Ghostbuster.
Ernie Hudson.
His Ernie Hudson. Like, I don't know if he's going to be in it or not. But I almost feel like that's going to be. It's kind of like that thing where you see an actor and they're like way older than you like thought they were,
Right.
and then you face your own mortality. I almost feel like it's going to be harder for these really extreme, angry fans to watch this new movie. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to like fuck with them even worse than, but they don't realize that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
I
know,
don't know.
I mean, so it's hard for me to even be excited about it because I feel so hurt about everybody like being vocally mean about the 2016. But obviously, I love Ghostbusters too. I loved all of them. I'm excited to see this. It just feels a little like I have to brace myself for people
Yeah.
to be like giving me the middle finger on the internet every day, all day until it comes out or something. I don't know.
Yeah. The waters are muddied. It's like I wish I could just go into it and appreciate it for what it is, which is what the people who are on the on our side, so to speak, of the Ghostbusters thing. That's all we were asking for the last one. Was just go in and enjoy it for what it was, and like it doesn't have to reinvent. It doesn't mean that the original Ghostbusters doesn't exist anymore. Like just appreciate. It's I don't know. So yeah, I agree. It's hard to like go into it with like a fresh mind, but I would like to. So that's gonna be something I need to just focus on because I think it could be really funny and really good and even creepy. And I want to enjoy it. But yeah, I know feeling like all these guys are gonna be like, oh, finally, like it makes that like rebellious streak in me want to just be like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, right.
So it'll be a little bit of a struggle, but hopefully they'll be amazing and everybody will love it.
Yes. Well, speaking of more news that came out this week, I downloaded the app. I was ready to stream. I didn't subscribe to the service yet, but the DC streaming service. I was excited to watch Swamp Thing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to probably do it like this weekend when I have time. Well, the news came out this week
Mm-hmm.
that Swamp Thing was canceled already. And
What?
it's not because it's terrible. It's because there was a clerical error on the paperwork where when they started filming, they thought they were going to get a 40% rebate from North Carolina, but it ended up being like a 14%, so 1-4 instead of 4-0. And so then they're like, "Oh, wait, we can't film this anymore because we spent 80 million dollars on season 1, which apparently this show is amazing, but they can't afford to make season 2 because they were counting on like, $40 million dollars, and now it's only 14 million to get a rebate. So it got canceled. Isn't that sad?
That's so what a like existential bummer. Like it's like this is art, and then the truth of the matter is like it doesn't even matter. It like comes down to like money and
Yeah.
like a clerical error.
Yeah.
It's so depressing and like just drab. What a drab reason. Like I'd rather it be like because like the guy playing Swamp Thing like murdered a bunch of people or something.
Well, yeah.
Something a little bit more exciting.
But and so that's what the sad thing is
Oh
that people are
my
saying
god.
this is amazing, and the creators said we literally will not make the show unless it can be at this level because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
So obviously, yeah, they shouldn't cut the budget, but at the same time, it's
Right.
so sad because I mean, this was sort of like
Oh.
the DC streaming platform's big show that they were promoting, and it got canceled the week
Yeah.
it came out.
Oh, that is so. I feel bad for all the people involved.
I know. Think
I mean,
about
that's.
all the
Oh
cast and
my
crew
god.
that were counting on that show
Yeah.
and made good work, and now it's just like, well, I've got to find
Yes.
a new job.
So the question is, are you gonna watch it still?
Well, as soon as I found that out, I texted our friend Nate and said, well, at least I didn't fall in love with it, and now I have to mourn it. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know, maybe, but I'm holding it at arm's length right now because I don't know if I want to invest my heart in something that is obviously going to be amazing and I'll never see it again.
Yeah, I mean that's hard. It's like if you know, it's like obviously if they had decided, okay, this is only going to be a season and we're going to have the story arc be one season, then awesome, that'd be great.
Yeah, that
But
would have
since
been,
that wasn't the intention, like
yeah.
then oh, that would be painful. And I mean, yeah, it's better to know now. But I feel like this is one of those things where I'm like, I feel like it has to be okay. Like somebody has to figure this out. Like
I
To me, it's
know.
just like I know it's like easy for me to be like, well, just find like $40 million,
Yeah, it's fine.
but but I can't believe that they could just. But and then at the same time, I also see how if you've spent that kind of money on the first season, you can't like go to like shoddy green screen in the next season.
Right.
It'll be terrible. Like you've already said, like this is
They set
our
the bar,
limit
and
of. Yeah, yeah, that's the bar. Oh my gosh.
so
Is anybody
that's
in that we know, or like
no,
I
I haven't
okay.
even dared to delve into it because I've been too
Okay.
sad because I was
Yeah.
excited to start it.
Yeah.
So the other thing,
Oh.
the one bright shining thing that I am looking forward to see more of is Nosferatu started on AMC last Sunday, and I know you read the book. I haven't. I was wondering going in, because sometimes when you watch things based on a book, it's like, are they going to be able to set up this world so I can get into it? And guess what, Meg? They delivered.
What?
They
They
delivered.
what?
They delivered.
They
It's so good.
delivered? Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, well, okay, so Tornado made it so that I can't watch TV right now. I can stream, but then I have another issue. But so I haven't been able to watch it. But I'm so ready and excited. I love Zachary Quinto, and I'm excited. And but more than anything, it's one of my favorite novels of like the past, I don't know, decade. And oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited you're saying it's good.
Yes,
Because,
I mean, I knew
oh,
nothing about it, so
okay.
I went in completely blind, and I mean, it was built up because I knew how much you loved the book. And can you tell us
Yeah.
about the book and when you read it?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's written by Joe Hill, who's one of my favorite authors ever. It came out in 2013. Um, and it's basically I'm looking at the little description here, and the way it describes it is a woman trying to save her son from a vicious supernatural killer, which is obviously that's such a like that could be the description of so many books. But basically, what I love about it is that it has a very complicated female protagonist who is just not your like typical final girl, so to speak, and the supernatural elements are so creepy. It takes a lot to like get under my skin, obviously, but I think obviously there's the element of children which helps in Nosferatu, but I'm so excited to see Christmas Land come to life. Um, and I'm like a giddy little schoolgirl. I can't wait to watch it. I'm interested to hear how did the supernatural come off in the first episode.
Amazing. I
Okay.
was as I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is cool. They pulled this off because like I said, I
Yeah.
had no idea what was going to happen, and it was disturbing. It was beautifully shot, well acted, intriguing. It brought us into the world and set it up. So I feel like, we're in a good place for episode 2.
Oh yay! I'm so excited. Like it's one of those things where, and I think I said this before about Joe Hill. I'm always saying it, but he just has a way of like getting to me emotionally a lot too. So I'm excited to see if that kind of resonates from the book to the TV show. And I'm so glad the TV show, like Luke's always saying, it's the golden age of television, and it really is because it'd be fun to see this as a movie, but I just think it's just this really big story with like this amazing world, and I'm just excited that we get to see it in like multiple episodes. So I just
Yes.
can't wait.
So, speaking of golden age of television, both Black Mirror and the first 3 episodes of Handmaid's Tale dropped this week, and I know you haven't seen either, so we won't talk about them, but those are available now. And then also, I convinced you, this is not horror related, but I convinced you to watch Fleabag.
I know, and I was like, okay, I have a lot of like tornado things to do. I don't have really ability to watch much, but I was like, if I don't watch Fleabag, Kelly's gonna kill me. And so I was a good little girl, and I came home and I watched it, and I'm so glad I did. Here's what I find so fascinating. For me, I don't know how you feel. I think you feel this way too. But it was one of the most dramatic changes for me between first and second season that I think I've ever experienced. I was struggling. I will admit I was struggling in the first season a little bit with her character, but the second season, like everything fell into place. Did you feel that way?
I did, and
Or
I did,
okay.
and and this is I'm admitting I had started season 1 like when it came out because people were saying it's amazing, and I didn't even finish the first episode, and I was just like, no, I don't, this isn't for me right now. Season 2
Yeah.
hit, and people were like, okay, there's a hot priest, and I'm like, okay, well, okay, I gotta watch season 1 so I can watch season 2, and I do not regret anything.
No. Well, I
And
think
it's more than that, obviously, but
right. But come on. I mean, we're not going to bury the lead. The lead is there's a hot priest, and it's like sexy times. And if you like Handmaid's Tale, like hand holding, then watch.
like, okay, so
Fleabag
Forbidden,
season 2.
yeah, Forbidden Love is my favorite. And
Oh,
I'll go
yeah.
back to I was in kindergarten, and what I loved about King Kong is that I felt like they should be together. I know it doesn't make any sense, but
Oh.
I loved King Kong, and they're not supposed he's not supposed to
It,
love her. He's not supposed to love Fay
it's
Ray,
like
but he did.
it's like the donkey and the dragon in Shrek. Like it's just you can't wrap your mind around it, but somehow it works. No,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, no, of course Forbidden Love. I mean, when it's like it's just you. I mean, that's the thing with us women. It's all it's all about the concept. It's all
Yes.
about the. I mean, this is why Harlequin romance exists, but
It's true.
or fanfic.
So Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she stars in it and she created the show and she writes it or has written on it. She also is the showrunner for Killing Eve, and I love that show as well.
Yeah.
And this was
Yes.
based on her one-woman show. It's a theater show, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense with all the monologues and looking to the audience and stuff. And she did this in New York in April, and it was sold out so quickly that there wasn't even a chance of anybody going to see it. I mean, like regular people probably. But like
Yeah.
it's if you're interested, listeners, it's a quick watch. There's only 6 episodes per season, and they're like 20 some minutes long, so you can get through it pretty quickly. And it is good. I'm not giving anything away, but I like the reveal and the twist at the end of season 1. And season 2 is probably my favorite season of any season 2 of television ever because my God.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm right there with you. Yeah, for me, like in the first season, I was struggling with her because I like, everyone knows, I go on and on about it, but I like complicated female characters, but she just had this, I don't think we talked about on the podcast, but we were talking about with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It
yeah.
was this, even though they're very different, it's this idea that there was no vulnerability and there was this air of superiority kind of thing where I just felt like her cynicism had like gone to the stratosphere and she was just like it's just like and I know that is a symptom of like what she was going through, but at the same time it was hard to like connect with her as our protagonist. But then there's the reveal at the end which helps, but then when you get to season 2 and she's much more vulnerable and real, and because she kind of loses a little bit of that like the superior attitude that she has, and she's very much more grounded. She's still complicated and makes mistakes and all that, but that shift to me was so important. And then to have that amazing ship to top it off was great, and it was a delight. It was very
good.
easy. I kept being like, I'm just gonna watch one episode right now, and then I watched like 3 episodes. So yeah, it was amazing. So thank you.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad that you watched it and didn't hate it. Speaking of watching things and something that we're going to be excited to watch, well, I assume you have some news about our favorite Simon Pegg, what he's coming out with next.
Yeah. Okay, so Orion Pictures just bought. I guess they just pitched the idea, so it's still like in its infancy. But it is a new horror film from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, who of course made Shaun of the Dead, and they also made Hot Fuzz and at World's End. Is that what it's called?
End of the world?
Something like that.
I
And
don't.
oh God, our mom is going.
We're old people.
Um, yeah. But anyway, Shaun of the Dead obviously being one of our favorite horror movies ever. So I'm excited that they're going back to horror. And it is, I keep wanting to call it Svedka, like vodka, but it's called Volta, which is like the name of a fictional island that the story takes place, the movie. And it takes place in Sweden, and it is about these people vacationing, I assume from Britain, and they find out that there is a serial killer on the small island, but nobody there cares.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
they just kill tourists. This guy just kills tourists or
Okay, that's
something. So it
hilarious.
sounds amazing. Yeah, it sounds
I'm so
funny
ready.
and great. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's awesome. Well,
Mhm.
something I watched because it was recommended to me. So if you are out there looking for something that is already out to watch, it's a Shudder exclusive, but it's called Better Watch Out. Have you watched this yet, Meg?
Hmm. No, what is it?
So it's a Shudder exclusive, and like I saw the cover and there's like a Christmas tree and stuff. I'm like, oh, Christmas horror, home invasion. Um, I don't know. And then so I never started it and I haven't watched it. But I have heard from multiple sources, no, just watch it and don't read about it or anything ahead of time. So I'm not going to give anything away, but
Okay.
it's 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's not a perfect movie, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It is starring
Okay.
the two grandkids from The Visit. They're not brother and sister in this movie, but they are in it, which is
Okay.
awesome. And then there's another
That's
actor.
interesting.
His name is Levi Miller, and he is amazing. And I enjoyed the crap out of this movie. I was
Okay.
shocked. I was laughing my butt off at points. Like it made me laugh out loud. And very rarely, like when I watch a movie alone especially, do I laugh out loud, you know? I don't know if you're like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but it
No,
takes a
same
lot.
here. It takes a lot.
But it is so well shot. The dialogue is really clever and it's beautifully acted. So better watch out.
Oh.
I highly recommend it.
Okay. Cool. That's amazing. I love recommendations, and also it's nice to hear about movies like that are littler movies too
Right.
to watch. So that's great.
Oh yeah, and it came out in
So.
2016, so it's a few
Oh.
years old.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
remember seeing it on Shudder like within this past year or so, pop up in recommendations or something, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Wow. You just never know. Like that's what's so great about this streaming life that we live now. There's like so much good content like at our fingertips. So that's amazing.
Yes.
Cool.
So, is there anything that you have watched or read in the past couple of weeks that you want to recommend?
Um, you know, something this is very random, but sometimes when I get like a chance to read that I don't have like a long time, I love to just sit and read a short story. So I read and okay, tell me how you would pronounce this. I've never known like how you're supposed to say this. You know the word demon when they put an A in it?
Yeah, I say Damon.
So it is
I
Damon?
don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if that's
I
right or
don't know
not.
either. I don't know either. But anyway, I read this amazing short story called The Damon Lover, and it was by Shirley Jackson because I bow at the altar of Shirley Jackson. And if anybody has the chance to read it, including you, like it's something that I like strive for when I'm writing. I'm not necessarily the best at it. It's subtlety, and it is such a subtle horror story. Like it is just a masterwork in like just creating that like creep vibe and that feeling of dread. And it took me like probably 20 minutes to read it. So anyway, and I'm sure people can find it anywhere and everywhere. And just read any Shirley Jackson short story. But it was just so good. It's about a woman who, I won't give anything away, but she is just waiting in her apartment for her fiance to come so they can go get married. Like they're gonna
Oh.
go, and that's the setup. So, um, it was just an amazing story with an amazing ending, and it was just like I have goosebumps thinking about it. So
Oh,
that was
great.
so cool. And like, when do I get to tell people, like, you should read a short story. So I'm going to use this as my soapbox to
No,
tell
that's
people
great.
to read a random short story. But I'm reading 2 novels at once. I'm reading Lucy's story, and you said you like that.
Yeah.
By Stephen King. And then I'm reading American Gods, which is not necessarily my thing, but I'm getting through it.
Okay.
So that's what's important.
You know, I know
Yeah.
on the people I follow on Tumblr are loving Good Omens, the TV show, and I have not read the book.
Oh.
But speaking of Neil
Is
Gaiman,
that's Neil Gaiman?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know.
And
Okay.
so I'm gonna check it out. I don't know if it's my thing either, but that's another thing that's new in the world of.
Yeah. They've been pushing those commercials really hard. Like, I've seen like 1,000 commercials for it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it has
Michael Sheen and David Tennant.
I love him.
Yep.
And David Tennant.
Yep.
I appreciate David Tennant because I know how much people love him. I guess I did see him he's in Broadchurch, I guess.
And
but I was gonna say, like, I feel like, I just haven't had that, like, David Tennant moment, where I'm, like, obsessed.
Yeah, he was really funny he was in the remake of Fright Night. He was, like, the magician guy.
Oh, I do remember that, yeah.
So, I mean, he's got a big range. And, I mean, I think that role was pretty funny. But, yeah, I'm not in love with him like some people are.
No, some people, like, they would watch anything he's in. I'm not that level yet, but that show does look kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But it looks like it could be on that border of, like, me being like, no, I don't think so. So I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
There's so much good stuff.
Yeah,
you never know.
There's plenty to watch. So, listeners, we are going to be doing some episodes like this for Horror Rewind, where we're going to be talking about some new things in the world of horror or old things that we've discovered. But we'll also have our classic episodes of rewatching old horror movies or horror movies from our past. Next week, we're talking about Carrie the musical, which is going to be opening in Duluth, Minnesota, and Horror Rewind is a sponsor. So make sure to tune in next week to listen to that. Meg, is there anything else you want to say?
No, just everybody just enjoy this beautiful weather, and if that means being indoors watching horror movies like us, then that's great. Like, I was at the beach, or I wasn't at the beach, I was at a water park the other day, and I literally had, like, towels wrapped around all my skin because I'm that pale girl, and I'm sure I sit out, but you know what? This is a podcast for you people, for those of us who want to stay indoors and watch horror movies instead of be at the water park, right?
Yes, I there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
So make sure to tune in next week and every week, and follow us on our social media, and we'll always update you on what's happening in the world of horror. So until next time, we'll see you in the horror section.